Hey, what's going on? My name's Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about me. I'm going to talk about me, and I'm going to talk about, I do that every episode. I tell you something about me, but today we're going to talk about this taking the leap and what it means to find meaningful connections. Today is the day I'm recording this, is my 9th year in Chicago. Woohoo! 9 years in Chicago. And famously, as a part of my story, I talk about how I moved from place to place to place for 15 years, trying to figure out where I needed to be. And I want to talk about how I landed in Chicago and still hadn't found what I was looking for. Are you ready? Let's go. So there's no music today because I had this really bad computer hard drive failure. My external hard drive just got wiped. It was pretty awful. And I lost a lot of stuff, including the music and stuff to this podcast. So what I'm going to do is not have any music this time. And I may decide to create some new music or find some new music to put on. But I think for this week and maybe even the following week, I'm going to figure out what music to play. Maybe it's a sign that I need to switch it up and put something different out here and change up my intro, change up my ending. I mean, who doesn't like that kind of thing, right? So maybe I'll do something that's short or long. I don't know. If you have suggestions, feel free to email me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com or, find me on social media, DM me, let me know what your thoughts are about some new music that I could put up here. But yeah, that's what happened. So there's no music this time, all right? But still, I invite you to enjoy the episode. Today is one of those days where it's really beautiful outside. It's like 60 degrees here in Chicago. And I'm kind of freaking out just a little bit, just a little bit because my emotions will get the best of me. And it's like, oh, it's beautiful outside. Hear the birds chirping. But just a few years ago, it was a blizzard outside. I mean, maybe 5-6 years ago, we had an Arctic windstorm around this time of year, and now it's sunny, and it's there's a bittersweet kind of feeling to this experience where I believe I understand the cause of it. The cause of global warming and how it's getting warmer, and we're seeing our winters disappear, and it's happening because just 2 days ago it snowed. Not kidding you, just 2 days ago it snowed, and now it's all warm and 60 degrees, and we've been experiencing this. And I'm looking out the window, and I'm just thinking, like, wow, can I enjoy the happiness that is supposed to bring, that sunshine is supposed to bring, instead of thinking about the existential dread that's behind the extinguishing of our planet, what I think it means. Can I just enjoy the moment? Damn it. Well, can you? Can I? Yeah, okay. I will enjoy the moment. But I often find myself in those situations where I'm a bit frustrated or a bit afraid or a bit confused or a bit sad, and just all these bittersweet, weird, wild feelings that are coming up, and not being able to enjoy the full moment. And I think that's what caused me to look so much for different things. So I started out my journey, to bring this back to how I landed in Chicago. I started out my journey in Ohio, and I believed that I needed to do what other people were doing to make friendships. And I couldn't mimic, I couldn't pretend, I couldn't fit in. There was something wrong with me. I stood out a little too much. I was just too weird or too wrong or too oblong shape or whatever. And I just realized that I don't belong in this group. And I heard that you got to go and find your tribe. There's a trope out there that says you got to find your tribe. You got to go fit in. You got to find the right people. And if this group isn't it, then you need to beat feet You need to move. You need to figure out where these people are. That's what I understood it to be. And so that's what started me on my journey. After I graduated from high school, I went to college, and I thought, well, I'm miles away from my original hometown. I'm definitely going be able to reinvent myself, right? I don't know if you ever tried anything like that. Reinvent myself so that I can find other people that will know the new me, or at least find people that I can fit in with. I can be more of myself. But man, it didn't work. It didn't work. And I ended up moving around every 15 months for about 15 years, from place to place to place, just trying to find the right people. And I finally left Ohio, and I moved to California. Finally moved to California out there, and I'm in the Central Valley, and I moved around the Central Valley. So I don't know if you're familiar with California, the terrain or the people or the culture there, but a lot of people like to divide California up into two states. They like to say northern and southern, SoCal, NorCal. And there's also CenCal, Central Valley. And if you talk to some people, they'll say Chicago, or they'll say that California is 6 different states. It could be 6 different states, and you could break it all up into that. But let's not focus on that. Let's just break it up to 3 and say Northern California, where there's San Francisco, and there's lots of trees, and they have this really save the world, peaceful kind of trope and attitude that goes with it. And then you got Southern California, where it's just the land of luxury, with San Diego and LA, just spend and luxurious people, and Hollywood and all that stuff down there. And then you got Central Valley. In Central Valley, most of our food in the United States is grown there. It's very farm rich. There's just a bunch of desert, and it is just wild. Not wild, but I mean wild as in, I was very shocked moving from Ohio to see a tumbleweed for the first time. And my coworker said, well, tumbleweeds get really, really big. They can get as big as a car. And I'm like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing here. Because Ohio was full of trees and it was foresty. And then now I'm here in the land of just desert and dirt. And it's wild. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is it was a whole different culture. And I went to a completely different atmosphere to find my people. I thought, well, if it's not here in Ohio, then it must be somewhere else. It just has to be the whole state. And so I left, and I found that, it wasn't in California either. And so I had an opportunity after living there for maybe 5 or 6 years, trying all kinds of things. I did move from place to place, of course, talking to different people. I did a bunch of karaoke. I hosted and organized some karaoke stuff. And I was out there being an extrovert, and still people really didn't know me. You know what I mean? They didn't really know my deepest, darkest fears or secrets, or how I would think about the weather as it is today. I wouldn't share that with anybody because they would look at me weird. And I'm like, I don't want to be looked at weird, or I don't know what I'm going to do if you kick me out of your friend group. So anyway, I kept a lot of that stuff to myself, even though I was really popular on the karaoke scene. I want to say people knew me, but I wasn't like super famous or anything like that. But anyway, people knew who I was. I was extroverted. When I'd walk in the room, they would know who I was, but they didn't know who I was. And I still felt a real big sense of loneliness. I just didn't know what to do with it, so I drank all my feelings. And then I had a bad breakup, and that seems to be the catalyst for a lot of things. For me to change, for me to move from place, for me to do something different. It's like I had a breakup. Somebody rejected me really deeply, and it hurt so bad. And I was just like, oh man, I just don't know what to do. But this breakup was really good because I started to spend more time getting to know myself. What had happened is that this particular ex had introduced me to something called The Secret. And The Secret is this. It's a video, it's a movie, and it's also a book. It's a book first, and then it was made into a movie where it explains the law of attraction. If you're not familiar with the law of attraction, what it is you essentially think about what it is that you want, and you manifest it. I believe that there are 2 laws to activate this. There's 2 actions to take to activate the law of attraction. Essentially, you really have to focus on the thing that you want, knowing what it is, and visualizing it. And then you tell everybody about it. Like, I tell everybody that I want to do this thing. And what I did to get me from California to Chicago, this is how I got from California to Chicago, is this law of attraction piece where I was alone and I was just lonely and drinking a whole lot, just really sad after this breakup. I was like, I don't have anything else to do. I don't know what else to do. But I had learned about the law of attraction, so I put it into action. And I thought a whole lot about it. I put my time, my energy, effort into it. I did the work, right? It's not like things are going to manifest. I took inspired action, as people would say. I took inspired action towards it, and I told everybody about what I wanted to do, and the people who didn't want to help me just made fun of me or pushed me out of the way, and I pushed them out of the way. And like, I don't have time for you. I don't have time or energy for that. But the people who did want to help me actually put effort in to help me. And next thing I know, I'm mock interviewing for a position that sent me to Chicago. And then here I am in Chicago. I made it to Chicago. Woo, yeah, I'm here. And I'm thinking it's the second largest city at the time. Second largest city. So it's completely new. It's scary. I'm kind of terrified, a little bit terrified, because people started to tell me before I left for Chicago that it's a bad place to be. You know, you're going to get killed or something ridiculous like that. You're going to get hurt. Don't go there all alone without any. And I'm like, I don't know what I couldn't. When you run into stuff like that, because I ran into it, I'm like, I know I can't stay here though. It doesn't feel good to stay here. I'm in this place where I just feel like I can't advance. I feel like people don't know me. I don't know how to open up to people. I don't know what I don't know. I just know that this isn't it. So all I needed to know is that where I wasn't it, and the unknown is the unknown. It is frightening to go into the unknown, but you can create that, as I learned later on. You can create that. So I still, made it to Chicago. Obviously, I'm here today. But when you run across something like that, when people tell you that you need to stay where you are because it's not safe to go ahead, you let them stay where they are and go ahead. Let your curiosity guide you. And so that's what I did. That's how I made it here to Chicago. I let my curiosity guide me here. And 9 years ago, I landed here and it was cold. The streets were covered with snow. It was just icy as heck. And I was used to it because I grew up in Ohio. Had all kinds of ice storms and stuff. So I was like, man, I miss that California sun, but I'm glad to be in a different place. And so 9 years ago, today, as I'm recording this, I made that move. And it was the best thing I've ever done. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life was to let go of all the things. I sold my car for pretty cheap. I sold my furniture. I let everything go, and hoping that this would finally be the place where I find my tribe, where there's like 2.9 million people here in the city, and outside it's like 9.4 million people, I think, in the Chicagoland area. I had access to all those people, all those potentials to meet new people, to open up to be new friends with. And when you know it, I didn't do any of that shit. I didn't. I found myself stuck with the same kind of people in the same kind of bars, doing the same kind of stuff that I was doing when I felt lonely and disconnected in California. I don't know how this happened, because I wasn't even paying attention. It was just all unconscious stuff. I'm used to going to the bars to drink and talk to people, so I'll go to the bar and I drink and talk to people. That's how you make friends, and there's plenty of bars all over Chicago. I happen to live near one that was super cheap. And again, people knew my name when I went in. Bartenders would give me free drinks, hanging out after the bar closes, behind the bar and stuff like that, or at the bar. It was what I thought was friendship. I thought it was connection, but as soon as I stopped drinking, all of that stuff disappeared. All those people disappeared, and I was alone with my own thoughts and feelings and musings I didn't have anybody to share those with. I didn't know how to. Forget about coworkers. I couldn't understand them. They had a completely different life than I did. And talking to them was really difficult. I was just trying not to be ostracized in that space. And I happened to be ostracized in the space anyway, just by, you know, by me not being able to relate to a lot of their experiences. Them being mostly white people who lived in the suburbs with kids and a family trajectory that's much like the American dream, and me being a single person who lived downtown without a partner or any kids, right? In an apartment, just living my life. They had different obligations, different life experiences that brought them to where they are, and I could not understand them, and I could not articulate or explain mine. I didn't think they were interested in listening. So I felt really alone. I'm like, damn, I mean, what is this? There's some anger, frustration about the fact that my tribe is not in Ohio. And I searched from Dayton to Cincinnati to Cleveland, Columbus. They're not in California. Now they're not in the second largest city in the United States. Not here either. After some years, I was just like, what am I supposed to do? So I got into a relationship. That's what we do when we get lonely. We get into these relationships because society has definitely told us we need to find a partner and be with a partner and just make each other miserable. So I got into a relationship and they told me I need to go to therapy. I'm like, okay, well, I have no sense of self. So I'm going to go to therapy. I went to therapy and I learned all the things. This therapist hit the nail on the head for me. We really had a nice vibe. I went to group therapy. I was in therapy for several years, I think for 4 years. I do group therapy and it worked out really well. I learned more about me. I learned about accountability. I learned that I had feelings. I learned how to share them with other people. And then my relationship fell apart because there were so many things there where my partner wasn't doing the kind of work I was doing. And perhaps they are. Perhaps now they have. But they didn't do the kind of work I was doing. They didn't like to be held accountable for their actions towards me. And that was tough. But as I said a moment ago about breakups, they spur something in you. It's like it's a realization that clinging on to this one person and trying to change them is not the answer. It's not the answer for me to create meaningful relationships and the thing that I'm looking for. I started to get more clear about the thing, as I have in quotes, the thing that I was looking for, which is connection, community, love, support. Those things, how do they really manifest in this 3D world? What is something that someone can do to show me love, to show me respect, to show me appreciation, to show that they understand, that care for me? I had no idea how to answer those questions years and years ago. Decades ago, I had no idea how to answer any of those questions. And now I have all the answers. Well, all the answers that I have right now. And they're pretty good answers. I could describe specifically what someone can do to show me love, in what situation. I can articulate that in a way that they can understand. That lets me know if they're capable enough to do the thing or not. Because I know that I'm speaking the right thing. I know what it is that I'm looking for. Nobody can gaslight me and tell me, no, this is what you really wanted. No. I said what I said. And so getting to that point, I'm sure it had something to do with me interacting with different people, from moving from Ohio to California to Chicago. But it didn't really get to this point where, I didn't get to that point because I moved, because I suddenly moved from Ohio to California to Chicago, and because I was in Chicago, I found the right people. It's not simply that. I did get some more clarity and understanding of who I was, but I surmise that I could have found that in Ohio or California or Chicago. I could have found that with more of my intentional experiences, with more reflection and stuff like that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, it didn't work like I thought it was going to work. Like you just go and you move to a different place and you meet new people, and they are all the people that you need to meet. It's something about the way I show up now, because I have those answers to the questions that I didn't have before. Like, I know that going to bars to make friends is not going to work for me. I know that now. I didn't know that before, but I know it now. And it's more the knowingness of, well, there are bars in Ohio, there are bars in Chicago, there are bars in California. If I know specifically not to go into a bar to meet people and expect to meet people, then I won't do that no matter where I am. It's the knowingness of me that connects me to the right people. It's the knowingness of the things that I want and the non-compromising that I'll do to make sure I get those things. I'm not going to settle because, well, you're here or somebody else is here and you kind of, sort of have a thing that I want. No, I want all the things. I deserve all the things that I'm looking for in my relationships. It's not a physical location kind of thing. It's a knowingness of who you are that creates those meaningful connections. Okay, so that was it. Usually I do some kind of answer Reddit thing, but I'm not going to do that today just because I think the episode is long enough. I've talked enough. And so if you like what you heard, come back next week, follow me, and reach out to me if you want to make some meaningful connections at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com, or you can find me at patternsofpossibility.com. I'm actually at Patterns of Possibility on all social media. I'm usually on TikTok. You can find me on TikTok. I go live Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. I go live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. And I talk about how to break these connections. So if you want to talk to me, let's do it. Let's have a conversation. Anyway, follow me, share, like, subscribe, do all the things to boost this up, because the more meaningful connections other people know how to make, the more likely you're going to find those people in your life to make those connections with. All right. I hope to see you next time. Take care.